Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are coming to you with your Video Music Awards 2024 Fashion Roast and Review. Listen, it's VMAs time, things are weird, things are wacky, things are wild, and we gotta talk about them. Starting off strong, we have Addison Rae, who is wearing the designer Claire Sullivan. This obviously is a little bit costumey, and it's certainly outrageous, but I will say in the grand scheme of the VMAs cultural lexicon, like, it kind of makes sense. Now, the first thing that I saw that I couldn't really get out of my mind are like the shelf boob silky bra that has feather plumage flying out of it, but they put padding in the actual bra and like the bust portion, so that sort of extends the breast area out. And it's meant to, I assume, be cartoony and funny and sort of exaggerated. And then when you pair it with the fact that she's wearing like just a brief with a tutu of sorts and feather plumage jumping out of it, obviously it's like meant to be comical and outrageous and ridiculous and stupendous and all of the things. What I will say is my favorite aspect of Addison in this look is when she turned around and was like kind of like shaking her butt and like the tutu was moving with her. She understands what she's doing. I don't think that she takes herself so seriously, and that I actually really enjoy. I think it makes it fun. I think it's perfect for the VMAs. She still looks good. I don't know what kind of good, but like she does look good. I enjoyed it. It felt like something you would find in like the 90s, 2000s, VMAs, red carpets, and like I'm okay with that. Next up we have Anitta, who is wearing Dolce and Gabbana. Here's the thing about the dress. Obviously it feels a little bit bridal, but at the same time it's a little bit laced up corsetry going on, maybe. I just think that there's a bit of like a disconnect with the fabrics. That's my one really big issue. Like, I don't really mind the lace up cocktail dress. I think it's okay. Doesn't hurt my eyes. Must have taken a long time to put that together, so like props to you guys. But very depressing veil, like, because that's not really like a veil. It's kind of like a weird head covering that doesn't fall beautifully, like looks like a napkin. They just draped the napkin over and said, all right, calling it a day. And then the chiffon that falls down from underneath the skirt, like, again, it's fine, but is it? And the stockings, I get it, I see it, I understand it. I just don't think that every part of it was made properly. Again, like, that veil is really weird, poorly made. Let things connect, please. Be the bridge that you want to see in the world or in the outfit. Now with Camilla Cabello, we have like the exact opposite. Obviously Anitta was very like white, bridal, kind of gothic, but Camilla is doing like black, bridal, gothic-y. I like the black veil. I don't know exactly what the reference is. I feel like it's not meant to be bridal, so like maybe it's like a reference to like a manteja, which also I just want to say, like, if we're gonna do like a manteja kind of thing, I would like love a big, crazy, intricate hair manteja thing. I think that would be very chic. I just feel like we're not dedicating ourselves to the look, to the concept. Now, as for this dress, it's Tony Ward Couture, and obviously it's a beautifully embroidered and embezzled black situation, but my one issue is just like the fabric itself. In certain places, it's kind of realistic that it looks like it's sheer and that it's meant to be like a nude illusion, but in other places, like, it's really not, and I think that's always my big issue with, if you're gonna do like a beige that's trying to match a skin tone, it really should match a skin tone better, because it sometimes just looks like you threw some things on a piece of cardboard and we said, look at how beautiful she is. So yeah, listen, I appreciate her going for it. I don't think it landed in the way. And again, and this is an overall thing for everybody, you could sometimes be a little weird, especially the VMAs, like with your hair and your makeup. Like, you could let yourself go just a little bit. Like, wear a headpiece. Be strange. It's okay. We would enjoy it. And now, speaking of something weird, let's talk about Chappell Roan. Chappell Roan showed up on the red carpet and she was wearing this beautiful velvet jacket and this lovely little sheer draped dress. Now, here's the thing. She was also carrying a sword and she had chainmail on her arms and she had this like little bag that was like a reticule bag from like the 20s, but it was made out of chainmail. It was like very cool and very fun. She was also holding a sword. Now, I have been explained to that lesbians and bi-curious women love swords. It just makes sense. As a sword swallower through it. Bro, I get it. So obviously, like, there was sort of a period reference here, and I don't mean that in like a bodily function reference. I mean that in like a historical period. She's wearing this beautiful velvet coat. in this light green with this gold embroidery. It's made by a carpet company, so her stylist obviously like put that together. Very cool. I love to see it. Obviously references like sort of Renaissance, medieval times, all those kinds of things. Again, not like the place in New Jersey, but like the times of medieval in our history. And then the dress that she's wearing is by the brand Y Project. I love to see it. It's this beautiful sort of burgundy and grayish sheer piece that like flows out, and with the hair it really works. Again, she has makeup, it's sort of white, it's very pale, it's very European. Like I'm into it. It's cool. And she also looks hot, and the fact that like you can see that side panel right on the hip, it like exposes the hip. It's really wonderful. It's kind of like very Lady of the Lake as well. People were saying that it's a reference to Joan of Arc. I don't know exactly if like this is what Joan of Arc was wearing historically. I'm pretty positive it might not actually have been what she was wearing historically, but I know that that is later in Chappell's outfit that she actually performed in. The reference, like wearing all chainmail, and also this idea of like gender bending and queerness early on, it makes sense. I really like it. I think she looks beautiful, and this is fun, and this is what I want from the VMAs. Next up, we have Coco Jones, who's wearing leather couture. Now, this is one of the leather couture's like famous or like very signature dresses. It's these sort of horsehair strips that are like all wound into a dress. Horsehair strips usually like sit at the bottom of a skirt. Oftentimes, horsehair, which this isn't actually made of horsehair, but historically the pieces were made out of horsehair, are essentially like what is put underneath like a big skirt. It sort of helps to fill it out because it's very sort of stiff. So the idea of like draping it like this, I always find really, really intriguing. And I do think that it works. I do think sometimes it can look a little bit toilet paper-esque. And I don't mean that as like a mean thing to Coco. I think part of it is like the lighting behind. If you see that strip of light underneath, it's obviously like shining through and it's making the horsehair much lighter, so like it can look a little bit toilet papery, but also at the same time, like anything strip wise that goes that wide can also look a little bit toilet papery. And I'm not saying that it looks like they actually wrapped her in toilet paper. I do think besides those elements, like I think it works. I do really think that it's cool. I think it's chic. I think it's interesting. I like the idea of like these strips falling away. I like the idea of the asymmetrical skirt. I think it's fun. I think it looks really nice on her. Next up, we have DJ Khaled. I love this so much. I don't know what season or campaign it was exactly. Bottega Veneta put out these like really close-up images of this beautiful pink intrecciato weave, which is like the famous Bottega weave. And it just said Bottega Veneta on it, and it was like really lovely and really beautiful and really stunning. I loved it. People liked my review of the collection. Like, it was cool. And then I didn't think that DJ Khaled was going to be the first person to wear it, just because normally it would be like maybe, I don't know, some like little actor at Cannes or Venice, but it's DJ Khaled. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it, because also I think that it works. I don't love the Air Forces with it. I'll be honest. I feel like a different shoe would have been appropriate. And I know it probably is very upsetting to like maybe fit suede like this because it's very expensive. I assume that this is a very expensive piece of outfit. But at the same time, I don't think that you should let it pool on your shoes like that either. I think it could have been better fitted, but I do really love the actual pieces themselves. I'm a fan. Good for DJ Khaled. Next up, we have Doechii, and she is wearing Thom Browne. Now, I feel like this really differs from a lot of the usual Thom Browne looks that we kind of look at. And I feel like a lot of this is maybe a reference to like deconstruction and linings, and not the outside of a tailored garment, but rather the inside. I don't know. There's something about the way that the shoulders, the sleeves, the actual like body of the jacket, the lapels of the jacket, the pockets, even the skirt, it's all essentially what a garment from Thom Browne would look like flipped inside out, or for the most part flipped inside out. As somebody that owns Thom Browne, I know that the stripes, the red, white, and blue stripes that we can see underneath the pockets is what those jackets are normally lined in. You can see the stitches there. So this is really a reference to deconstructionism and sort of playing on that idea. I don't know if it's Doechii's way of referencing that she feels like she's kind of deconstructing like the rap industry and sort of building herself out as one of the new premier rap artists. Like, if she is, I like it. I respect it. But I think it's a fun Thom look. I do feel like it still is very dressed up, obviously, because it's Thom Browne. But again, there's more of like a casualness to it, which I think is rather rare for Thom too. And I think that's because like I'm looking at what looks like jersey, just the lapels or something that you kind of really have to like look for. It's a really intriguing thing to me personally is somebody that is a fashion observer, somebody that likes the runways, likes to look at the way that Thom Browne presents his collections. So if you don't get it, you don't like it, I won't mind, do your thing. But for me, I find it rather intriguing. Next up we have Flo Milli. She looks beautiful. It's great. I think the VMAs, obviously, we look for a little weird, a little wacky. The hair, the makeup, the lips, the eyebrow. Like, I don't talk about any of that stuff, but like, she looks beautiful. She looks stunning. And she's wearing a dress that's by the designer PatBo. I didn't get to go to the PatBo show. Historically, the girls are not obsessed going to PatBo shows, but I'm a little jealous because the most recent PatBo show looked very good, and I am sad that I did not get to attend. But I love this butterfly sheer dress. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice way of doing sheer. Instead of it just having like sheer panels backing it, rather like it's just made up of these panels of butterflies with gold little accents and the pearls all over them. I think that like we're a little tired of wearing a beige or a brown that is like trying to match the skin tone and then it never matches the skin tone. Do this is fine. We want this is what we need, this works. I think it's really cute. I think the heels perfectly complement it. I think that the jewelry too, like she's wearing little diamonds, like it's great. I just think that this is nice, sweet, fun fashion, and she's also wearing an up-and-coming New York designer, so I like to see it. Next up we have Halle Bailey, and she is wearing Sophie Couture. I like the dress. I think that it reminds me a lot of like Alexander McQueen, but Alexander McQueen by Sarah Burton, who's now going to Givenchy. Shout out to Sarah Burton. We love Sarah Burton. Yes, it looks like it got clawed up by a cat. And I think that that's okay. I don't mind the cutouts. I think that they're intriguing. They also look like they're not super calculated. Obviously, they're all moving in one direction diagonally, but like the use of the sort of cutouts is fun. I also think with like a blood red, there's something about that idea of like mauling and scratching and cutting and pulling that also has like a little spooky-ooky, deeper sort of feeling to it. I really don't mind it. Like, I think it's cool. I think it works. I don't think it's like super radical, but at the same time, like, beautiful dress, fits her well, cool techniques. It probably was very heavy, so I'm into it. Next up, we have Halsey, and she is wearing vintage Gianni Versace. Now, obviously, it's a sleeveless fitted leopard print in red and black dress with a lot of crystal details that go around the bust area and then falls asymmetrically down from the hip. Listen, I think it's cute. It works on her. It's also a reference to Elizabeth Hurley because it was actually Elizabeth Hurley's dress. It was made for her by Gianni Versace. Apparently, it was left at the dry cleaners and then I guess maybe like never picked up, and then the dry cleaner like sent it to auction and it got auctioned off, and Halsey got it, which I think is a fun story. I think the dress works. I think it's cute. I don't think it's super crazy, but like at the same time, nice dress. Next up, we have Karol G, and she is wearing vintage Veronique LeRoy. I don't like it. I'm sorry. Like, no. I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's good. It's this like weird cartoony flame dress, and I think that when you look at it on the runway, like the runway imagery, what they did was actually really smart in the sense of I didn't know that there was a collar to it until I saw the runway image, because you're not looking, I just thought it was like a halter style, but there's actually like a popped collar that's supposed to go there. But the issue is, because again, we will not dedicate ourselves to like a full moment, the hair really sort of cuts into that and sort of sits on the edges of the collar, and so it can't really be popped. Otherwise, I think a pop collar would make it much cooler, much more fun. There'd be a different element to it, but I think that it just sort of falls flat, and the colors to me, they read like Flaming Hot Cheeto. There's something cartoony about it. Maybe it reads a little Duraflame. I'm trying to think of other things that are flame related, but it does not land in that way. And also like that yellow with the orange, in particular, like those shades. It's not great. It's really not great. And I think maybe the pop collar could be the issue. In general, it could be the context that's the issue. I don't know. It's comically bad. So like, yay, VMAs, but still it's comically bad. Next up, we have Katy Perry, who's wearing Who Decides War, which is an up-and-coming New York brand. We love to see it. It's also the end of New York Fashion Week, so this makes sense. I feel like Katy's been going for this very like deconstructed, tattered, and torn sort of aesthetic for the past few months, promoting her music. And so like this to me correlates with what's going on. I understand it. Orlando, I believe, is wearing Celine. Looks really nice, all black. totally fine. He's also very aware that Orlando is not really the focus here, so appreciate you, Orlando. I do think that the skirt looks really, really well done, which I know seems crazy to say considering it's torn up, and I do like the asymmetrical bra that looks like it's falling down, but listen, designers have been into deconstruction for quite some time. Clothing degrades, breaks down as it's worn, as it ages. It's not some like higher commentary on anything. It's literally just looking at the way that clothing as a medium breaks down, because it does. That's what happens. It doesn't matter how expensive it is, it will break down. It might break down in 7,000 years, depending on what kind of polyester you're buying, but it will break down. But in general, I do think that it's a cool look. She's pulling it off. She's also like doing wet hair, like she's playing into it. I'll take it. Next up we have Lil Nas X. I don't know if he's referencing astronauts, motocross, the Pink Power Ranger, I don't know, but I really do actually like it. Normally I don't like motocross things, but something about the fit of it I think is really, really well done. I also think that the color usage, the pink and the white really pops. I really love the helmet. It's really intriguing to me. It has like ears and like antennas and it just looks really well made. They definitely captured something and I'm intrigued. Next up we have Lisa and she is wearing Mugler. This is a custom look. Now here's my thing about the look. It fits her beautifully. It looks great on her. The color I'm not like super obsessed with. I don't know if I would pick like cream. It should be harder and a little bit more ferocious and I feel like a luxury cream is not that. Obviously we can see that there is this corset that's going on. It's like a bodysuit corset. It has the boning very visible. It's fine. I do really, really love the hood and the glove part, and I do think that the swag of fabric is also cool. It showcases the corset. But overall, I think that there's kind of like a lot going on, even though I think with the color, there's not. It's weird to me. I think she looks beautiful. It's the color. I think that this was done in black, red, green, blue, yellow, pink, whatever. It would have been a little bit more dynamic, but I do think that this cream really takes the punch out of it. Next up, we have Megan Thee Stallion, and she is wearing Nicole and Felicia Couture. She looks like a big, old candy wrapper bonbon, and I do really like it. I think it's fun. I think it's different. I think this is kind of what you should be going for at the VMAs. It's a bodysuit with a stocking, and then it flows into this mermaid skirt that ties right at the knee and flares out, but like the skirt element doesn't really connect fabric wise with like the more fitted lingerie undergarment situation that's going on. It kind of creates this really intriguing dichotomy. It looks like Megan Thee Stallion is like the Venus de Milo, but instead of a clam, she's emerging from a piece of candy. But I'm okay with that. She also like understands the hair and like all that. So, like it's cool, it's funny, it's weird, it's wacky. Like she looks good in it. I'm fine with this. Next up we have Sabrina Carpenter, who is wearing vintage Bob Mackie, and she looks stunning. I am obsessed. I think this dress is beautiful. I think that it's the perfect quintessential sort of red carpet gown. It's wonderful on her. I also think that like Sabrina's general vibe and aesthetic really does fit the Bob Mackie sort of repertoire. I think that you could slide Sabrina currently in with some of the greats, and like she would very much so fall in line in that world of like Bob Mackie making really exciting, really intriguing, really beautiful creations for some of the most iconic performers, Tina Turner, Cher, Madonna. Speaking of Madonna, Madonna actually wore this dress in 1991. I don't know if this is the exact dress that Madonna wore, but Madonna wore it to the Oscars, and she did wear it with like a fur stole, and Sabrina didn't do that, and I actually think that's probably for the best. But obviously, like, she's referencing Madonna. I like it. I think it fits her well. I think that it feels fun and sweet and cool. It feels very dressed up, but at the same time, I think she looks lovely in it, and you gotta respect it. She's doing it. I'm very happy with this. Next up, we have Shawn Mendes, who's wearing Dolce & Gabbana, and here's the thing, like, the suit's fine. It's all black. It's a button down underneath. The one thing that I would say is, like, somewhat intriguing to me is there's actually details on the lapels that look to be some sort of, like, stitching, which I thought was nice. Not really super crazy, but like at least there was an interesting detail to the whole situation. But overall, it just feels kind of blah, not really memorable, not exciting. So Next up, we have Tate McRae, who is wearing Roberto Cavalli. Now, I believe that this is a custom look that is based, or at least like a nod to Britney Spears' 2001 look at the VMAs. Britney wore this black lace dress with a brief and a bra, and it has long sleeves. As for Tate, like, she's doing a somewhat take on that. It's fine. I don't hate it. Like, I do think that it's obviously like sexy Cavalli. I do find the lace really intriguing because it almost looks like at certain parts it's not lace, but rather it's almost like a stocking that's been ripped and torn. I can say that there is some intrigue in the way that the lace is done. Normally lace is usually a little bit conservative. It's not really super interesting. People don't make a ton of new patterns in the lace. I think the issue more so is with Tate. I just don't really understand like what we were trying to do besides like reference Britney, and it's like, listen, everybody loves Britney, free Britney, stan Britney. But I saw this on Twitter, but somebody essentially said something along the lines of, why are you referencing other people as a new artist? Because we don't all know necessarily who you are. And with that, I really agree. Like, it's better that Tate shows me who she is and doesn't try to reference Britney, because in reality, it's like, I still, as not a Tate McRae listener, don't really know her brand. Sabrina Carpenter earlier, I know what the brand is. It's sexy and it's murder and it's dark and it's a little violent, but it's poppy. So it's fine that she's referencing Madonna, because I know what the brand is. But I think in general, Tate, not that she's unknown, but like, she's not mainstream in the way that Sabrina Carpenter has become. So we need a little bit more of like Tate putting herself out there in her own branding. I think it'll help a lot more, because the whole story became Tate McRae referenced Britney Spears, period, end thought. Next up, we have Taylor Swift. She's wearing Dior. Listen, I don't love the look. Like, I'm gonna be honest, you can go watch our resort collection video. Like, I broke down why I did not like this Dior collection. I've put out anthologies about Dior collections by Maria Grazia Chiuri, the current designer, that I do like. So like, I find my moments with Maria. This Dior Scotland collection, which is what it's based on, just kind of didn't make sense. A lot of it was about armor and like recontextualizing that in current clothing, and it just kind of felt weird. My real issue with like Taylor wearing it is like, I don't think that it's the most awful Taylor Swift outfit, which I also just want to say, like, in the context of Taylor Swift fashion-wise, me saying that is a problem, and I think we all need to like understand that, because I got a lot of comments about how this is one of Taylor's best fashion looks ever, and I want to say that, look at that and think about how that's not actually as good of a thing or a big of a compliment as you think it is. But as for the actual look, like, listen, it fits her really well. Of course it fits. I don't really mind like the high-low top thing, and everybody kept saying, you don't know what you're talking about, her dress is beautiful. And I was like, well, it's not a dress, so there's that. I do think that the black velvet shorts, like, they fit. I also like don't even mind the gloves. I feel like it's like edgy Taylor, and like the Stuart Weitzman black boots, I also like, I don't mind. I do think though my big issue is like, people were sort of trying to find the reference for Taylor here, and people were saying it references Reputation, which I think is an album from like 2017. They said that like it was a green and black thing. I just want to let you all know that this is yellow and a very dark blue or a black, but like, it's not green. There's no green. I know it might look like green, it's not green. But here's my really big issue with this in general. Taylor Swift could have Dior make her whatever she wanted. I mean, whatever she wanted. In the past year or so, we've seen Natalie Portman in a recreation of a 1955 Dior gown. We've seen Anya Taylor-Joy have a recreation of a Yves Saint Laurent designed style from Dior. And we had Lady Gaga referencing Capucci and John Galliano's Dior. So like, Dior will create custom looks based on what the person wearing it wants. And this is what Taylor Swift chose to do. If Taylor Swift said, I want it in green and black, it would have been done. So I really can't comprehend why they went for a ready-to-wear look when she could have had something custom made. And like, I'm sure that this actually was custom made to her. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I think I mean more so like creative custom made. The creative direction from her and her team, her stylist Joseph, like, they could have done that and they opted not to. And I think that's the confusing issue to somebody from not Swiftie standpoint. It's fine. It exists in the lexicon of Taylor Swift fashion history, but as an outside viewer, I think it would be really interesting to see like a custom look that's really cool, and I don't know, references one of the references and also feels glamorous and beautiful. This is a Dior version of Punk, and we could have had Westwood, and she was wearing Westwood recently too, so that's even weirder. If you want to like wish me death threats, Swifties, I'm so sorry, like I'm gonna forget about this in about 20 minutes, so do with it what you will. Next up we have Tinashe, and I believe she's wearing Rick Owens, which is interesting because I feel like I haven't seen a leather drape style like this, at least on the top, from Rick, so I'm intrigued. But I think it's fine. Like, I don't think it's really super exciting, crazy radical. It sort of looks like a piece of wet leather that's been sort of draped and sort of ripped towards the bottom, and it sort of latches across. And then it's a high-waisted skirt with some draping in it. And not really super exciting, but at the same time, like, it's not bad. Like, I'm not like, ooh, how ghastly, you know? And lastly, we have Tyla, who is wearing Area. This is from their fall 2024 collection. The dress itself is fine. It's obviously this sort of idea of like cording, like an almost bandage dress effect, but there's a lot of exposure because of the cording and the way that they've done the placement of it. So like it does show off the stomach and the thigh. And the color really pops on her. It's really beautiful. And the idea of like the fringe also falling down to me feels very Area as well. Like I think it's cool, think it's interesting. I don't really think it's like super duper exciting, but again, Tyla did the Met Gala, so like I'm gonna let her have it. I'd like for it to be pumped up a little bit more, although she does look very hot and very beautiful in it. I'm gonna add it to the lexicon. I feel like I haven't had enough time to ruminate on Tyla from a fashion perspective, so we're gonna see where it goes. I'm not gonna lambast anybody about it. It's just intriguing. Let's talk about best and worst though. Best, I'm going to put Chappell Roan in there. I'm gonna put, Sabrina Carpenter, I really, really liked. Megan Thee Stallion I thought was fun, and Flo Milli looked stunning, and Lisa, because it was good, but like, you know, it still could have been in a better color. As for worst, I didn't love Anitta's. Shawn Mendes was blah. Karol G. And you know what, shockingly, I'm not gonna put Taylor Swift in there because like, it wasn't totally awful. Those are my thoughts. So let me know what you all think. I'd love to hear your opinions. I will see you guys on the next video. Remember, the Emmys is coming out very quickly. So thank you so much for watching, and TTYL.